All right, welcome to this week's edition of Movie Club. Before we get into the movie, let's catch up. It's been 2 weeks. Eliza, you were saying we don't want to go back into that, but what are you doing the first weekend of November? Did you look?
The first weekend of November, I have Lindsay Palmquist and Scott. Don't actually know how to say his last name, but Scott's wedding. My friends Lindsay and
I
Scott.
think it's pronounced Baumgartner.
Oh, there you go. They're perfect. Spot on.
How did you know?
I'm making
You've
it
been
up.
looking at her.
I'm lying,
Nice.
like a liar
perfect.
would.
Okay, I get it.
I guess I should have asked
our
Lindsay
family
for
does.
permission before I said her name like that on the internet, but her full name, so we could bleep.
Yep, can't do it now.
Bleep it out.
All right, well, Lisa and I are going to be in your favorite city.
New Orleans?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh!
I'm going there for a conference during the early part of the week, and then she's going to join me on.
What kind
Well,
of
the plan is right now she's going to join me on Friday and Saturday. Or she's going to join me on
Con?
huh?
Yeah, what kind of conference?
Respiratory conference.
Respiratory.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Do we not know what how lungs work?
What's the?
Anyway.
Is there a smoking section at the respiratory conference?
Yeah, that's called a job security section.
Job
Oh
security.
gosh, that's terrible.
Anyway, so I asked Olivia to join us. I think she might not be able to do it, so that's why I said let's just get rolling
Yeah.
on moving in. Any updates from any? Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I really liked having her last week.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it was nice. It added some entropy.
What does entropy mean?
It's just chaos.
Oh yeah, a good kind though.
And the
A
best
good
part
kind.
is we've gotten to most views, our second highest views in the shortest amount of time.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's huge.
Advertisers coming next, baby.
Yeah.
It must be all Olivia. Olivia must,
It must
be the draw.
right?
Olivia's got some pull.
Star power.
She's got star power.
She can
She's
finally
got
get that geology sponsorship.
Huh?
Because she
Geology is
rocks.
like it's like a face it's like I get it on all of my podcasts. Maybe it's just clearly it's geared towards my demographic and not.
All right. Well, I don't.
Geology.
All right. Anyway, any updates from anybody else?
My girlfriend's in town for
Oh, that's
my
nice.
birthday.
Nice.
And we went to Korean barbecue this morning with my best friend and his girlfriend.
Well, you stole my
Nice.
thunder, Luke. I was going to say that we all wish you a early happy birthday.
Mhm.
Tuesday,
Thank
right?
you. Tuesday, yeah.
Okay, great.
I'm half a century or a quarter century old. Half a century.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're gonna be 25.
It's weird. It's weird because I couldn't imagine being double this age. I feel like I've already lived so long that like it seems unrealistic that I'm gonna
You
make
might
it
as well
that
be
far.
dead.
Yeah, I feel like
No.
Oh my god! Like
I feel like
one foot in
60
the
over here.
grave.
27.
Yeah.
27 seems about right for me.
Did I ever tell you guys that whole thing about all my life? I thought I was going to die at 52.
Yes.
Oh my god,
Yes,
yeah.
and I remember the
so
52nd
weird.
year of your life thinking this bozo's gonna live
Yeah,
past.
and then I was like,
Here it
oh, wait a
comes.
minute. Maybe
Finally.
it's like that whole thing where it wasn't going to actually, when I turned 52, it was at the end of 52. And I was like, whew, I got one more year and it never happened. And I don't know what that is.
Maybe
It's
it was a parallel version of you dying at 52.
That is perfect segue to the movie, right? I mean, it's all that
Right.
craziness.
Well,
but before we
maybe-
get into the movie, I have to say, dude, that goatee and mustache is working.
Thanks,
coming
dude.
in. I need
Thanks.
to. Will you text me the stuff that you're using, Luke? Because
Yes.
I want to use it too. I want a
Okay.
goatee. I want a full beard so bad.
I want a
used
full
that
beard so bad, too.
I used that
Gotta go to
Instagram
the magic
filter where
store.
it gives you like a nice beard, and I was like, I'm like a million times more attractive
Yeah,
with
yeah,
a beard.
sometimes it helps, dude.
Fucked up. But Lola and I are moving at the end of this month, right? So we're like gonna leave. We're leaving the 29th of August, and we were originally gonna get like one of those pod things, right, where you load the pod up.
Oh yeah, those are good.
And then you ship it. They're like $1 million fucking dollars. So
Really?
not doing that.
Whatever,
Then we
fine.
went to go get a U-Haul. The U-Hauls are like $4,000.
Yeah.
And so what we ended up doing is renting a pickup truck from a Hertz, and we're just taking less stuff with us.
That's
know.
yeah, that might be a good idea.
Dude,
Huh?
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, if you have an address, ship stuff over there. I mean, it was a
Oh,
pain in
that's a
the
good
ass
idea.
the way we moved to ship so much stuff, and we were just so fortunate that my brother was allowing us to send it to where he works. That's where my cousin owns that business. But I want to say probably all told, we probably spent about $1,000 shipping stuff. But it was stuff we
Sure.
didn't want to get rid of, but we knew we wanted to put everything into cars.
Right.
And that was, and
We-
it's so cathartic to get rid of these things that you just feel like, we don't need this.
Why do
We don't
I
need this."
got this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do I have
like,
that?
like Lola and I have got it down to our mattress, my desk, which I need for work, a coffee table that Lola's mom bought us that has like sentimental value to it, a side table that her dad gave her. For all the viewers, Lola's dad died when she was very young. So he's not around anymore. So table's kind of important. And our television, and then our 2 gaming consoles, and then our like clothes and stuff like that. And that's all we're taking.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
I'm thinking-
mean, yeah, I mean, shipping clothes is a little risky, but we did on
I'm
some
not
of
shipping
the.
any.
wait,
I'm
why
not
is it
shipping my clothes.
risky?
If you lose them and they're important to you, then they're gone. You just don't
My-
get them back. It's like you
my-
can't.
My clothing
happens
is like the only
things
thing
falls?
that are really important to me that I like would be devastated losing. You know what I mean? In terms of like a material possession, I don't own you, Eliza. Like
That's right.
I
Sorry.
never.
Yeah, it's
Like-
2022 now. Eliza.
No,
Yeah.
Lola, not important. Eliza, not important.
I know
Luke,
she's. I
not
know
important.
I know Lola's gonna make it there. Like, you know what I mean? But we're talking like material
Maybe.
possessions.
We
Like,
know
I
the
would be-
clothes are going to make it there. We know
I
that.
I wouldn't be devastated unless, like, if I like, and some of my clothing, like, not to be this guy is like, it's from like friends of mine's brands that made this
Yeah.
stuff one time, and if it's gone,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
no.
huh.
It's not like I can go to a store or like reorder. It's not like a pair of like Adidas or something like that. It's like really, really, it's stuff that is like I'm very emotionally attached to.
Watch out.
And I also just got my wardrobe to the point where I really like it and don't want to change it at all. Like, I think I got my personal style pretty dialed over
Yeah.
this last year. Sorry, guys. I'm just plugging in.
Well,
some
I've got,
power here.
I'll tell you what, I've got these. I've got probably 10 of these shirts in various colors. And I call it the American Guayabera, but they are from Mountain Hardware. And they're
Okay.
so comfortable and they're so low maintenance. And that's all I wear. I mean, it's literally black t-shirts are a version of this shirt. And it's just so nice to know. And the thing is, they don't make them anymore. So every time I see them on sale, I buy them again. But anyway,
Oh,
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
I have a pretty good uniform set up. Like, I think I have like 10 pairs of pants that are all pretty much the same. They're like they're wide leg cropped pants that are either
Bell
denim
bottoms?
or like no. What? When did you hear bell bottoms in
well, I
any
said
of
wide
that?
leg.
Yeah, a bell bottom is a bell bottom. A wide leg is a wide leg.
Okay, well, maybe you got bell bottom shorts then.
Bell bottom.
Hey, we're on to something. They'll
You
be our
just get
first
those-
sponsor.
I don't think we're onto something. Those are just basketball shorts.
You get those pants, right, that unzip at the knee, make them bell bottoms, and then just unzip them. Bell bottom shorts.
Unzippable. Well, so wouldn't that just be bell bottom knees, like, or bell knees, bell middle?
It would
pants?
be everything. It would be everything but the knees.
All right, with
'Cause
that
you
said,
unzip it
let's
at the
get
knee
into
and then it
our
goes right
review
down.
of everything, because this is literally everything, everywhere, all the time. This discussion,
True.
but in Olivia's absence, I will go ahead and try to give a synopsis.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's a and I didn't write down any of the character names, but if you guys have them, help me out. But I guess I do have them somewhere. But
I mean, if you're on a computer,
mean,
Google is free.
The internet has them in spades. yeah.
Evelyn's the main character.
yeah, Evelyn is a character in the movie,
Mhm.
and she's kind of a tiger mom kind of person, right? Is that wrong to say?
Probably.
Let's give a already a pretext that there's going to be some terms,
Okay.
some terms that are used in terms of race and sexual orientation and those. I'm just saying, I don't think you can do this review without delving into some of that. But anyway, that she's a tiger mom who wants the best for her kids, very driven, all this and that and the other. What the hell?
What?
What are you
What?
saying?
I was just
Heli-
giving you the names
Evelyn
of the
Jobo-
characters
yeah,
in
okay.
the chat.
The helicopter.
And
parent.
so she gets identified as this person in this life timeline that has the tools to solve things in the universe. And so
It's like almost so. I feel like the story was like she has absolutely no tools, but she has like the base ground to get to all of her other universes that had the tools.
well, I guess the one that if you look at the timeline where she's she's kung fu, but she's also an actress in that timeline, right?
Hmm.
And that is where she did things for herself. Where in this timeline, she's doing everything for others.
Is this part of the
so-
synopsis or
What?
the synopsis?
Yeah, it's over. That's it. That's as far as I can go.
Okay,
Well,
so
to
there's
be
a mom
fair-
who's very controlling. That's the plot of the movie.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
There's what? So if I were to take a stab at the synopsis, we meet
Please
a
do.
woman, Evelyn, who's clearly very unhappy with her mediocre life, and what she's done is gotten herself into a position, one way or another, where everything seems to be falling apart. It seems like her business is falling apart, her marriage is falling apart, her relationship with her daughter is falling apart, and she's clearly so unhappy. And one of the things that where it takes us first is that they are being audited. Her laundromat is being audited. And right as she's going to that final meeting, which is very stressful and she could lose the business, her husband transforms into another version of himself and opens up a universe that Evelyn had never known. And then it's just complete chaos ensuing where she loses herself to find herself, and a lot of crazy shit happens in the meantime. But it's
Yeah,
hard
I feel
to
like that was a
describe.
slam dunk.
Yeah, it was a great.
That's
that was
What I
really good.
said. I said the exact same thing.
No.
But I
It's-
used
no.
Tiger Mom and nobody liked it.
Polar
I think we
opposite
should stop
of.
saying that though too.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
I think we can agree.
I do think it's inappropriate.
I mean, I looked it up because I honestly just don't know his slang. This sounds like old people slang.
Well,
It just
people
says
used to say that a lot when like in the past. And
Okay,
it
so
usually was referring to Asian parents or Asian moms who are really,
yeah, it
really
does say
intense
that.
and had super high expectations of their children and were like very rigid in those expectations and really push them. So I don't know if it's still inappropriate. I don't know if it's inappropriate, but I just thought
Okay.
you could call out. That's what I
uh,
understand it to mean.
a quick cursory Google search is yes, it is widely accepted as being very offensive and xenophobic and should not be used.
Okay.
But there is a cultural. Thank you, Atticus. So now we know, and now we can kind of just move forward with that
We can
understanding.
pivot. Sure.
But I do think that there's this really real element
Weird.
of expectations of parents, especially immigrant parents, of their children that are different from I think what I experienced growing up in America, where I think this idea of legacy, honor, following the rules of as they have always been, like respecting your elders and their expectations of you, that seems to weigh very, very heavily and seem to be a really big theme
that was the talking point. Yeah, definitely in this movie.
in this movie that I think is interesting to explore. And I do think that the elements of her super high expectations of her daughter Joy are a big issue. It's a big pain, clearly, in the family. So I think it's worth talking about. Big time.
Yeah.
But overall, what do you guys think? Like first temperature check. Like what do y'all think of it?
I mean, I personally love this movie, so I think
I really.
it's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
It
Go on,
has
Luke.
everything that you could want in a movie. It's got it. It plays a serious tone while also getting those good movie type jokes in without ruining the project completely. And I think it does what Marvel's doing just a little bit better, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't know if you
I
guys have
Like with
caught
the multiverse, or
yeah,
no with like
well,
the jokes.
I think kind of both,
Oh.
like both in like the contemporary style and
Yeah.
both like the multiverse stuff. I think that I don't know. I don't want to completely shit on the Marvel movies because I think that a lot they are objectively good for a lot of people's standards, but it does to a certain point feel like a prescription. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's just like, no, you're gonna like this and you're gonna watch 50 movies and give us all your money. But at the same time, I think that they're good, and if you enjoy them, I don't think that you should feel bad about that or chastised.
No,
But I do
I
think
agree.
that
No.
I like that. I do like the, it's almost like a balsamic vinegar to the reduction, right? Like it's a more refined and potent version in both the storytelling, cinematography style, the music, and the editing. Like I think that if you look at how, like the thing that jumped out at me the most was how often and liberally the aspect ratio changed. And if you watch like Guardians of the Galaxy is a really, really good example of this, to where they cut from like having like a Dutch angle to these other various forms of cinematography. It just felt a little, and it feels a little clunky in some points. Everything Everywhere All at Once felt very fluid, and like all of those different angles and aspect ratios and temperatures and saturations in the cinematography had a very specific purpose. And I appreciated that about this movie quite a bit.
I agree. Fun fact about this movie, there was only a handful of people working in like the CGI, like computer graphics department, and that the two directors also started working on the CGI. They had to like help the graphic artists, I guess,
Yeah.
to complete the project, and they had to like learn stuff via like YouTube.
So that's
And
interesting. It's interesting you should say that because the CGI, the first fight, I guess, when Waymond is using the fanny pack,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that I couldn't tell how much of that was total CGI and how much of it was film in
I don't think it was
interspersed.
CGI at all.
Oh, you got to look at it again because there was some really fake looking stuff in there that you could just kind of pick out. But anyway, like I said, it's interesting that you say that there were certain aspects of the computer generated graphics which I thought were not of a scale, I guess, to what we've been used to. But anyway, I don't think it didn't detract from the story
No.
for me. But anyway,
This movie also had a budget of like $25 million, I think.
really, it's
And
grossed over 100 million so far.
yeah, it's a big dub.
really
It's getting a lot of good reviews as well. And it was a very small project. It was like a passion project. I don't know if you noticed, but there's like only like a handful of actors in the whole movie that are
Yeah.
actually saying lines and stuff like that.
Well, it's like,
And,
yeah, like most of the movie is in that IRS building.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
maybe not in the literal sense because they did have to make other sets, but that was something that I maybe was confused about a little bit because like it starts and begins in that building, or it starts and ends in that building.
Doesn't it start in the
Mm.
laundromat?
Yeah, it starts and ends in the laundromat.
Well, like not like directly, you know what
Yeah.
I mean, but like the begin, like they're in the IRS building within the first 15 minutes of the movie, right?
Oh, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm lending credence to what Luke is saying, to where I see that it's a very small, intimate cast of people, and it's not
Yeah.
like there's not a lot of big sweeping shots and stuff like that.
So here's my take on it. I loved the message they were trying to deliver, but
Right.
I don't think they ever got there.
What do you mean?
Well,
What message do you think they were trying to
I
deliver?
think they were trying to say, look, everything you do has ramifications. Don't be afraid to be who you're supposed to be. Don't be afraid to, don't hold on to traditions in this life because they're not the same in another timeline. And just support those around you. Be kind. I love you. Be kind. Those kinds of messages. If you do that, and I think that was a very poignant component of that story where Wayman just says, "No, stop fighting. You're
Mhm.
going about this the whole wrong way." And I thought that message was beautiful.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Cloud Atlas. But Cloud Atlas is about reoccurring. It's how your soul follows you through time, from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, and the things that you do in one lifetime. You got to get over that in order to fix the problems that you've always had in your life. But
It's
it's
not a,
also a little bit like Enter the Void, in to where you have to realize what you're doing in this life as it goes along. So this movie
Mm.
kind of reminded me, from a messaging standpoint, like Cloud Atlas and Enter the Void, that whatever you're doing, it means something somewhere. It's like that butterfly effect kind of thing. It's like, if you might see it as a mistake, but in a ripple effect, might have been exactly what was supposed to happen. So
Hmm. Yeah.
I feel like I got a totally like I got a similar message, but I don't know if it was the exact same one. But I think this movie is like trying to do that as well at the same time. It's trying to send multiple messages to different people, I guess.
Well, and I think that that's what got me a little, like, I feel like I don't know if I liked it or not, if I'm being totally honest. There were things where I can tell it was such high quality, like the choreography of the fights. I loved
Hmm.
the costumes. I loved the colors. There was really cool music. I loved how original it was. But then at times I also hated the fact that or not hated, sometimes I disliked the fact that it felt like nobody said no to anything that came up in brainstorming for the movie or the script. And they were just like, let's try it. Like,
sure,
let's do it. The
I
black hole is an everything bagel. Cool. Like, we'll make that make
yeah,
sense. But then it did not. I
right,
still
right.
don't understand what the point of the bagel and the black hole thing was.
Yeah.
I think it's the juxtaposition between satire and literal interpretation of the meaning of everything.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and
But
Eliza,
why does that make it a black hole?
Well, so if you look at a picture of the note, or I think it's like, to me, I read that as a joke because all of those like rendered versions of what the universe looks like look like a bagel or a donut. Like,
Oh.
here, let me see if I can find the image.
That'd be helpful because I
but
hadn't seen that, so it just felt very random to
so
me.
I thought it was just a
Eliza
joke on the everything bagel.
bagel,
Oh,
I can see that too.
well, and it seemed I got that when Joy was kind of like talking to her. She's like, and I added sesame seeds and I added, whatever it was, and it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, but like, but why?
but
What is
why?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the. Oh, go ahead, Eliza.
Oh no, I want to hear what you have to say.
So here's the thing that gets me when that movie started, and you looked at the camera shot of what was going on at the beginning, and all the minute details of what was on the shelves, what was on the here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa picked out a glass or a jade bok choy on a shelf in the background of one of these scenes that had googly eyes on them, and it's like that, all that detail, all that painstaking minutia of little tiny
Like,
little tidbits, but they can't explain the rest of it. You know what I mean? That's where I got a little lost with some of it. Why?
yeah, and maybe a rewatch will be helpful with it because I agreed. There were so many things that I found really, really charming about it, and
Oh, just
I wanted to stay in that feeling of being so charmed and loving it. And as
Mhm.
soon as they introduced the time jumping, I feel like the pace in that part of the movie was very, very fast.
yeah.
And I also never quite understood how it worked or what they were like, what it was. Like,
I
I
ooh.
got behind quickly, I think. And I don't
Yeah.
know if that was a me thing or
So
anybody else
You're
thing.
not the only one.
I don't think went into detail about how all this stuff worked because I don't think it mattered to the story, you know? I think the point is, hey, you can jump to universes. That's it, right? I don't think like the whole science behind it really impacts the story at all. But that's
So-
just me. I mean,
so
how does the lightsaber
No.
work?
Do you guys know what Endra's net is?
No.
So Endra's net is a spiritual philosophy that is used to like categorize existence and the illusion of self. So Endra's net is it's a bit, if you can believe it, it's a big net, right? Metaphor. And every individual, your individual consciousness is like a node on this net. So when the net crosses, that point is your consciousness and your illusion of being an individual. But in
Okay.
reality, we're all just the net. And I got a lot of the universe skipping, jumping, and all of that kind of stuff. I got a lot of that as like, okay, this is like an Endra's net thing, to where you are supposed to dissolve your. I'm trying to like say this like in like not like a silly way, but it's like you're supposed to let go of the illusion that you are an individual, right? Like the illusion that you are a unique being in
Mhm.
a linear timeline is I thought the point that they were trying to get, but I don't know.
I get
So-
that.
Yeah.
I got that message that there's infinite things that could have happened. I'll tell you what, I will say for this movie, it did make me cry. And that was
Oh, me too.
the scene
Oh, yeah.
when the movie when she's an actress and all that stuff and she meets Waymond and he's successful, right? I mean, he
Mhm.
had a great life and she's
Yeah.
had a great life, but did she have a and that whole for her the realization, which is really kind of scary and spooky to know that in her conversation with him in that timeline, she knows what else happened or could have happened or did happen. I don't know.
Mhm.
But that was very poignant in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that
I
part
think that
got to me too. Oh, go ahead, Luke. Sorry.
I think the line where I guess successful Wayman goes in another life. I would have really enjoyed doing laundry and taxes with you.
Yeah.
I
That
think
got
that
me.
one was like.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really
It
broke
hit.
my heart.
I don't
And
know. It really made you appreciate what love is a little bit more, I think.
totally. And like thinking, I think for me in that moment, I thought about all the people I love, or like that's really clear who you really love.
Yeah.
Right.
You would really just be happy being poor and like doing laundry together and having nothing else. Like that
That's
is,
real love.
yeah, yeah. And it's, I don't know. For me, I also cried a lot in her conversation with her daughter
Oh, yeah.
at the end. And like, just when everybody was trying to pull them out of the donut. Like I thought that was very sweet, but it was like, I don't know, like just kind of that parent stuff or just I don't know. It was a lot in
She
it.
didn't
Really
want her
emotional.
daughter to go through the same stuff that she did, right? With her father just letting her leave. And she was like, I gotta hold on to my only kid because,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, but
she's beautiful and she's someone I love and I want to be a part of their life forever.
Hmm. Yeah.
but doesn't that beg the question I guess in the movie actress Kung Fu artist with successful Waymond,
Mhm.
the father didn't let her go. And she wasn't happy in that one. So why is she upset that the father lets her go in the current timeline? You know what I mean? That's where I get some inconsistencies of understanding what was totally going on, you know?
Okay. I mean, that's valid. That's a valid criticism.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the whole hot dog hands was so stupid and
I
unnecessary.
think that's the point. I mean, there was a scene where they were just
I-
silent rocks with text on the screen.
Well, that
I
weird.
found that
I
really
thought that was good.
emotional, actually. I
Yeah.
found the googly eyes on the rocks, like, I, and just saying this sounds so absurd, but like that really struck a chord with me.
I
And
like
like
those scenes. Yeah.
when
You
she
had a pet, you
jumped,
had a pet rock. I mean,
But that was
yeah,
good. But the whole why they had, yeah, like I said, I'm not going to go into it. But the hot dog hands was
did you
so
guys
much
think
time
that
spent on that timeline. Could have been spent developing a story or explaining the story more. But anyway,
yeah, I
But
think
I,
go ahead, Eliza.
I was gonna say the thing with the hot dog hands, I also it didn't make a ton of sense to me until the end when they started playing the piano with their feet. And it's a whole thing of like, whatever you don't have in this life makes you stronger in another way. And who are we to say like what's right and what's wrong and what's good and what's bad and what's weird and what's not? Like, I think that like if you want something, you find a way to get it. And so it's like if you want love, which is what I think what in my opinion is what Evelyn really wanted was to love
And
and to
Deirdre.
be loved. Um, Deirdre? Oh, is that the
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie
yeah,
Lee
yeah,
Curtis.
okay, sorry.
I thought she was fantastic.
Yeah,
by the
I was
way.
about to
She
say,
Such
was
a
like,
good
okay,
job.
She
Jamie
was
Lee
so
Curtis
great.
made me disgusted at the beginning.
this is
Yeah,
the
she
Oscar
really, really
nomination.
turned me
Mark,
off. Like,
you heard it here first. Oscar
yeah,
nomination for her, and because of her legacy in the industry, I wouldn't be surprised if she wins.
it
But
was, yeah, gosh. And why was she yellow, I wonder?
I don't. It's pretty funny though. It's
You
good.
know what I mean? I feel
Yeah,
like it was so important that she was yellow, but I
she's
don't
neutral.
understand why.
Well, I think that there's so much baked in symbolism to this movie that until people
Yeah.
really get in and like start to dissect it so much, because like there is a lot about like I don't know. There's like I think that there was a lot of multicultural references in the movie, which because I have like because I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day that like why I respond to Headspace better than I respond to going down to like a Buddhist temple and actually meditating down there, because he's he's from India and he was raised in like in that culture and that religion and like a lot of that kind of stuff. And so when you bring up like a really powerful like a really powerful Hindu deity, let's say like Hanuman, right? Like there are no monkeys where I'm from in the wild, so I have no idea like really how powerful they are and how scary they can be and all that kind of stuff. So, this Andy guy though that is in Headspace, like I can relate to him and what he has to say in terms of like his societal resonance, if you will, as opposed to reading a story about like like Ganesh and like Hanuman and stuff like that. And I think it's just like, and I think some of the references in this movie I missed just because I was like a lot of these cultural references aren't baked into my experience, and I'm excited to see people kind of turn those stones over so I can get to know those aspects a little bit better.
The theme that I thought was very funny is an ongoing gag, which kind of got a little out of hand, but was the trigger. Like your time jump or whatever it
Oh
was.
yeah,
The
you have to
trigger
do
everything
something
you had to do
stupid.
to trigger. Yeah. And there was this scene when they were in the office, the fancy office, and they all of a sudden they all had to do something to trigger their time jump or whatever. And then, it was just a pan of everybody doing stupid things of what they were doing. There was one guy was banging his head against a wall, and it was like there was a cop, there was a guy in a vet, like a construction vest, and I thought that was really funny and just it's like, yeah, what's your trigger? What's gonna sniffing a fucking fly up your nose? Wow, then I'm gone. But
Oh my gosh.
I can't. There was like an anime back in the day, and I can't remember the name of it, where like everyone had to do stuff like that, and like one of the guys like to activate his powers had to like eat a cigarette, and there was another guy that had to break a finger to do it, and like by
Oh my god.
what is it called, Lola? Darker Than Black. It's a good one.
But they
Really
did that. That wasn't that one. She goes, "Oh, you can either." They said to her, "You can either break your arm or do something else." And it was like,
Profess
well,
your
No.
love to her.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. Which is
So-
interesting because it seems like they were in love in the Hot Dog Fingers universe.
That's how it. That was the connection
The glory of the hot dog finger
that
universe.
propelled her into the other universe.
Oh, okay. Do you guys think? And I don't know if I'm reading too far into this or not. Do you think that the everything bagel and the googly eyes have a correlation to describe like the multiverse? Because they're kind of the same thing, right? It's like a dot with a hole, and so
Oh geez.
I did.
Oh.
I might have missed that completely.
Maybe.
But
I don't
maybe
even
you
know if
are
that's
reading
legit
too
or
hard
not.
into it.
I
I don't know.
probably.
I don't know. You would have to ask the directors, honestly, because I feel like they put so much into this movie. Like when the title is pretty accurate. It's a lot.
A lot of stuff. It's everything.
I think the googly eyes were was a reoccurring theme to say, don't take this shit so serious.
Yeah.
Just have fun.
I think
That's
so
what you
too.
should be doing. And I tell you, I was cracking up every time I saw
yeah,
them
so-
are so
somewhere
funny.
inside.
So
It's
It's
bad.
like
Where the
it's just
fuck-
comedy gold, man.
Yeah,
like
googly
it's
eyes. That's
so,
it, and it's
googly
so
eyes are
simple.
So funny.
Well, and it's something we do as a family that we've laughed so hard at doing. Like
I know, right?
it's just like one of those things because it does bring me just pure joy to put little googly eyes on things. It's like what a sourpuss would you have to be like stop putting googly eyes on stuff.
Right,
Like
yeah.
take life seriously.
Can you give it a rest with the googly eyes? Okay, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
would be so
But it-
hurt if somebody
It's so funny. It's like our marriage is ending. Can you cool it with the googly eyes? Like
Yeah. Well, and then how they were googly eyes on rocks. And I
that
don't
was
know.
really funny. I thought that was.
I thought it was funny too. I also knew for sure when we're talking about the jumps. As soon as we saw Jamie Lee Curtis's characters, her
Trophies.
trophies, I was like, somebody that's a butt
That's a butt
plug, and
plug,
somebody
yeah.
is gonna put it up their butt at some point. Like that is so
yeah.
clear.
That's so funny. I actually, so the first time I watched that, I was like, "Oh, that's funny." And a best IRS agent gets a butt plug as a reward. That's so fitting.
'Cause it's
And
like,
then,
yeah,
Doesn't she make reference to that in that scene where he's like, "Yeah, people are always trying to shove crap up my ass, but this is not going to work," or something like that. I thought she said why that was the award for an IRS agent, but anyway, I might have missed it.
saying like you don't get
Seems-
these things by whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
letting people
It seems
shove stuff up
inappropriate for a
here.
professional setting, in my opinion.
I thought it was funny.
I thought it was
But-
funny, but also like, yeah, totally. Like it's like, oh,
But-
we're gonna see these again. It was very much what if it is it Chekhov's gun or is that what's the theater term? Is it Chekhov's gun? If you see a gun in the first act, it's gonna be used by the
Oh,
end of the third.
Oh yeah.
I
I think
was
I think I know what you're talking about.
foreshadowing, but
Yeah.
But
So
I didn't think that was foreshadowing at the time because I thought it was just a joke that IRS agents have something stuck up their ass.
I think it works
mean,
on
it
many multiple layers.
Yeah, it could be.
I think there's a lot of levels
which
to
is
it.
kind of funny.
You can check a lot of
is.
boxes.
I also wanted to say that I really, really liked Joy a lot. Like I don't think I liked Eleanor very much. I didn't necessarily enjoy her, but I really, really liked Joy. I liked her costumes. I liked her. What, Atticus? Is it not making sense?
No, oh no, sorry. I was like, who the fuck is Eleanor? And then I was like, oh, Evelyn. And I was
sorry.
trying to specifically not
Evelyn,
interrupt
Evelyn.
you because I was having a hard time. Sorry, poker face. Like
No, please help me out because my brain today I'm all over the place. So please keep me on the right name.
you're good.
But yeah, Evelyn, I don't know that I was really rooting for her. I was rooting for Waymond often being like, okay, he's so funny. I love him. Look at him being so great. Joy, I really thought she was a hoot. I really liked when she would show up. I liked her little tennis outfit and when she popped that guy's head into confetti. And I thought that was some of my favorite visual stuff were her costumes and and her moments. I didn't like the end. I really, really, really hated her costume and makeup at the very end where she was an abstract piece of art.
Yeah.
I just wish that they had made another choice because other than that, all of her costumes were so fun and so just
Yeah.
full of pleasure and like color and texture, and I really got a kick out of it.
I agree, Eliza, because I was not initially rooting for Evelyn. I was like, this lady, like, geez
She
Louise, like,
sucks. Like,
you're the
God, what a
fucking
bitch.
times,
She
lady.
does suck at the beginning, yeah.
Like,
But
get off yeah.
I do think by the end of the movie, I was rooting for her, and I loved the way I really really liked the scenes where it was her and Deidre in a relationship, because I think that for me was the pivot turn for her as a character to be more accepting of not just her daughter's lifestyle and her relationships, but just in general.
Oh, interesting. I see this. So this is the thing. There was so much going on, and like we talk about rewatchability on this uh in our reviews a lot, and I think that it's almost a required rewatchability. Like part of me
Absolutely,
feels
yeah.
like
Oh yeah, this
I
one's
really wish I'd watched it twice before even doing this, because
Yeah.
there's so many things coming at you all the time that something so obvious, like what you just said, Atticus, that Evelyn's relationship with Deirdre is a lesbian relationship, just like Joy and Becky. And I didn't even connect those dots. So like that's the thing that I struggle with the film a little bit, is I didn't know what to pay attention to, because there were shiny squirrels everywhere you looked, and it was much easier to just be like, haha, that's funny, or whoa, that's interesting, than to see the meat of what they were really trying to communicate. So
Yeah.
I'd be interested
Well,
to see how I feel about it after watch 2.
what you said earlier, Liza, really resonated with me, where it didn't seem like there was great boundaries between creatives in this movie. It was like it does feel like a toss it in. Like,
why not? Let's try it.
why not?
Yeah.
Like, eat,
Well, it
pray,
did
love.
have
We're
two-
not
two
saying no to
directors.
anything. Yeah. So
I think it
but
was
Two
people just having fun, in my
directors.
maybe
opinion.
it should have been one.
Yeah. So I mean, and I don't know how that plays in, and I didn't. I should have done some research on the directors and why they're a Daniel and Daniel team, because it said directed by Daniels. It didn't give
Yeah.
their last
Classic-
names, but
Classic
yeah,
Daniels.
two directors.
Luke, so what were you saying? Oh, sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm done.
Luke, what were you saying? It was just like you saw it as like people
They're
having
just
fun.
having fun, dude. So they wanted to make a movie that they enjoyed, right?
Sure.
And I think they got they got the base script, and they were like, I love this script, but then it was just like, okay, well, let's just have fun with it, right? Let's, not hold any movie norms, keeping us in our box. Let's just go outside the box as many times as we can and do what we want to do as opposed to what we should do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I get
Love
that, and I see that, and like I said, for me, it's hard for me to contrast the amazing beauty of the detail of some of these scenes, the background, the books,
Mm-hmm.
the little
Mhm.
trinkets, the this and that and the other, all those, and how when they come back to certain scenes, her table where she's counting out the receipts at the beginning is all different,
Yeah.
and all that, and then to lose the detail in the story, that's my only complaint. I mean, not my only complaint. I think some of the fight scenes were a little went on too long, since they didn't really drive the story that I could see. So they were being, it was an action movie, but
I mean, I think the fight scenes were like pretty spectacular in my opinion.
they were, but they went on to, but to what purpose? What was the reasoning?
I did personally feel like, okay, we're fighting again, where I think that was part of my watching fatigue a little bit. Was that it seemed like I wish there was more in between the fight scenes, because it seemed to be a lot of fighting. But I also haven't watched a lot of kung fu or karate movies in the past.
I think it was honoring
which-
like some old martial arts movies, because I mean it's
Yeah,
very apparent
yeah,
that
I think so
this is
too.
a large Asian produced film, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these people, like Michelle Yeoh, actually, fun fact, was the like first woman in Hollywood to like actually do fighting in kung fu movies.
And she's
She
amazing.
did her
Like,
own stunts for a lot
don't
of
get me
movies.
wrong. Like, it's
She was the
pretty
one doing her own stunts.
incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
yeah, she was
it's-
in
So-
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
Right.
after all,
You-
which is like the kung fu movie. Of,
You just
like,
stole
the
my
the
thunder
contemporary-
because
Oh, sorry.
every time I watch this, not every time, but very often while I was watching this, that's what I thought about. Crouching
D-
Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and the beautiful meaning in that story that was given. And that's
I
one of
didn't
my
see
favorite
it.
movies of all time. Is
The
it just
Crouching Tiger DNA is in there for sure.
there is, but it's kind of disrespected in my opinion. But anyway,
Why do you think that? Or what
Oh.
made you feel that way?
because all the fighting scenes in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon drove the story. It made you understand what was going on, why you had to do, why these things were occurring at that time, and what they were leading up to. And the fight in the bar, the bar scene in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, all of a sudden explains to you, of course they're fighting her. Of course they've been trying. She's the one that stole, the sword. And now there's no questions anymore. You got to get it back. So it was just yeah. But
You
anyway,
don't
I
think
mean,
this one, like the fights were like Michelle's growth, or not Michelle, Evelyn's growth throughout the story of the movie? Because like you get a fight scene where she has no idea what she's doing. You get a fight scene where she's like, okay, I'm starting to get this thing. And then you also get the fight scene where she flips completely and she's like, okay, well, I have to be not a fighter anymore. I've got to like treat these people and fight them the way Waymond would, with love,
but Wayman fought him with a fanny pack first time.
Full of
But that was
like,
not her
fish.
Waymond.
That was
Right,
that
oh,
was
yeah,
that was
that's
Alpha
true.
Waymond, not her Waymond. They're
That's
different.
true.
Anyway, I get it. Yeah, I
Okay.
just don't. I mean, I just think that the story could have been, the whole overall story could have been better driven with more dialogue than fight scenes. I think if they could have cut out 25% of the fight scenes and given you more dialogue about what was happening,
Hmm.
it could have been a better movie. I just felt like they were detracting too much from the time that they had to tell you what the bigger story was or what the bigger meaning of the movie was. But anyway,
Well, and what I'm noticing too, like Dad, I think it'll be interesting in the rewatches how we feel because I was trying to use
I
the
agree.
fight scenes to figure out what was going on, like what to try to like those are almost breaks I was using them as breaks because I wasn't getting any like they were just fun, they were entertaining, but I wasn't. So I was trying to think like what just happened before this? Like why are they fighting? I never really understood why they were fighting and why everyone was fighting her or against her. And it was that.
right.
So why is that?
Well, at first it was what's it called?
They were going to stop the bad joy.
They're trying to stop Bad Joy, right? And I think the first fight that we get
Yeah.
is Waymond versus the guards, right? And the only
Yes.
reason they're fighting is because
She punched Deidre.
she punched Deidre, right? And then you move on to fights where Deidre's trying to fight Evelyn
Yes.
because she's the chosen Evelyn, who's gonna like
Yes.
stop Jobu Tubaki, right? And then later you get like the last big fight, which is Jobu Tubaki trying to like fucking right?
Yeah.
And everyone is on board on that one. They're like, okay, Jobu's followers good, Alpha team good. Let her just obliterate. Because the
And
donut's
so
already there.
what would have happened if Jobu Tabaki went into the donut and didn't get pulled out?
She would have been obliterated.
And then what would have happened to the rest of reality?
I don't think anything bad would have happened to the rest of reality.
So why do we care if that one version of Joy goes into the bagel?
Because it destroys all joys? Because she's all of them at
Oh.
once?
And Evelyn doesn't want to
Okay.
lose her daughter.
So
Doesn't
then
want to let her
that
daughter
would
go.
effectively
That's a good
kill.
motivation.
Okay, so if you go into the bagel, then all versions of you die.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
it
we're left to
prevents
assume.
all future versions of you. See, this is the stuff
And
where,
do you,
and
like,
look,
turn to schmear or
this is.
But Eliza, this is what my point is,
But-
like less fighting and more explaining why that was a big deal. There
Like
was
what-
not enough dialogue to help
I
me
mean,
understand.
I feel like they were just like, oh, I'm gonna go in here and die, right?
Yeah, so I was trying to say like,
I-
oh, does she want to
I
experience
feel like
death?
it's not
Does she
something you have to
wanna
read too hard
experience-
into.
But it is because I didn't understand the stakes, is what I'm saying. For me, so for me, and this is just me, and I feel like I paid attention to it. I was sitting there, like I wasn't on my phone. I was watching, and I knew I was going to review it, and I missed the stakes of
Yeah.
why we were fighting, like what was even going to happen if Joy Baki had gone in there. Like,
Right.
and for me, that's a flaw in the storytelling.
Yes.
But it sounds like maybe that was just
I agree.
happening to me, or I can't tell. But like
No, I
and
don't
this
think.
Little less
Mo-
talking, or little less fighting, and a little more talking.
yeah. And say what you will, I totally, because I get it. I get what you're saying. Like with when it comes to Marvel, right? It is almost spoon fed to the audience.
Sure.
But I think that's also one of the reasons it has mass appeal, because it's like the whole, like the Marvel multiverse is spread across probably 20. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 20 movies and a TV series and all of this. So you're getting a ton of information. You understand how to connect those dots, and it feels really rewarding to connect the
Yeah.
dots between the
Yeah.
universes. This was all jam packed into what was it, like 2.5 hours, a little over 2 hours?
20 minutes and 11
Yeah.
seconds.
And I think
Beat
that
that up.
that's one of the contrasts. Like, I think that's one of the, you get different results. And so, because I don't study like quantum physics and those types of theories enough to even know that a black hole looks like a donut or a bagel, like that, like some of that's, maybe that's what they were trying to do, is like certain people will get it, other people will just have fun watching it even though they didn't understand it. I think that the directors were totally fine with it, but I went into it assuming I was going to understand it and really like it, and when I didn't understand it, it bummed me out a little bit, because I was
So-
like,
I think
dang.
that
I
we
actually
see
think-
this- Go ahead, Luke, Dad, and then I'll go.
Okay, I think there's a very basic story, right?
Yeah.
In the entire movie, it's a pretty like, it's like, hey, you've got somebody who needs a lot of growth, they get a lot of growth, they fix all their problems, and it's just all the other stuff is just fun. And I literally don't think it matters to the story at all.
Then don't put it in.
So,
But-
Dad, what were you gonna say, Dad?
No, go ahead, son. You first.
Me? Well,
Yeah.
so I just to Eliza's point, the comparison between Marvel and like and the and everything everywhere all at once. And again, I don't mean to shit on the Marvel movies. I have the like insert the like meme of like hating popular things doesn't make you interesting, but like
Sure it does.
oh boy, like wait till you hear my opinion on the Beatles. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, come on.
I'm just joking. I love the Beatles.
And Elvis.
And Elvis, that jerk.
That
Anyway.
pedophile.
But wait,
Where did that come from?
did that come out in the last podcast? I missed
We
it.
talked about the age difference between Elvis and Priscilla, that he was
Oh, we did?
24
That's right.
and Priscilla was
that's
14.
But then we saved him by bringing up Jerry Lee Lewis. So, go on, son.
Or
Go
Jerry,
on.
Jerry Seinfeld. Anyway, everybody's a pedophile. Everyone's a pedophile all at once. But anyway, so one of my favorite brands is I see a lot of this in fashion, right? And I love fashion. I'm obsessed with it. Like, it's one of my main drivers. Like, it's one of the things that makes me get up in the morning, right? Is clothing, design, all of that kind of stuff interconnected together. And I will say that I think more like really successful brands are more approachable nowadays than they used to be. So like if you want to look at like Bottega Veneta, like one of the biggest, hottest brands right now, they were known for one thing, right? This specific type of leather weaving. And it was a very like, if you know, you know, kind of thing. And they were targeting the like upper crust of society and only really like only very minimalist, like wealthy people knew about this brand, and it almost put them out of business. And so now you have, you know, like Instagram pages like New Bottega and stuff like that, to where a lot of like, if you know about Uniqlo and you're into clothing, a lot of the times you'll know about Bottega Veneta too. And
Uniqlo
it's
is my
just,
favorite sweatshirt or sweater I've ever had.
so again,
it
like, so
really?
let's
Yeah,
let's
it was.
unpack that, right? Uniqlo is an approachable price point. They have, in terms of like a mass-produced fast fashion, like whatever, they have very ethical business practices compared to like a Forever 21 or an H&M or, you know, something like that, right? But it's well-designed stuff. And I think that everyone wants a well-designed garment to a certain extent, or a garment that they resonate with the design, whether that's a really nice knit sweater from Uniqlo that fits you really well, or whether that's a big dog t-shirt that's like only the big dogs get the biscuits or whatever. Like, the clothing resonates with individuals. I'll send you an
Get
image.
this back to the
That-
movie somehow.
That goes over my
So-
head.
So I think that I think that the reason the Marvel movies are popular is that they're easily digestible. And
Mhm.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with that principle. I do think that if this movie had maybe been a little bit more quote unquote obvious in its intentions, it would have a wider appeal. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing.
Wider appeal. It's one of the most popular movies out right now.
Sure.
People
But
are watching it online and they're watching it in the theaters.
how much
I
of that
mean-
is a snowball, though, do you think, Dad? And how much of that is individuals
It's-
actually resonating with the content?
Its
Well,
first week had
what-
like it wasn't looking like it was going to break even on its investment.
Really?
Well,
On its second week, it wasn't gonna look like it was gonna break even. It was because people were so passionate about this film and enjoying it that it did snowball. It kind of
also-
had like a large presence in social media from the fans.
Like
I-
Bottega Veneta. Eliza, please.
I think one of the reasons that could be, in my theory, is you could say, "Oh, I love this movie," and somebody says, "What's it about?" And you're like, "I
Have you had a
can't
bagel?
I can't explain it. You just have to see it. Like, I
Yeah.
can't explain it. You have to, like, just
And
trust me. Go see it, because it's
in
not."
terms of like word of mouth and like marketing like that, like I think it has a lot of staying power. But I think that, you know, again, I think it's less approachable.
Well,
Eliza,
Nick-
do me a favor. Put your hands down. Move to your right a little bit. Now look, she's got suspenders
Suspenders.
on.
I know. I was
There's a
thinking,
fashion statement right there, kid.
fashion. Yeah.
There we go. Take
I
notes,
think
Bottega.
Too, the trailer is so jam-packed with a lot of the exciting visuals that it just does look like a party to watch. So, like, you watch it and you're like, I have no idea what that is, but I want to see more of what it gives you so many question marks. So for me, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, I can't wait to understand what all of this means. And then you watch it and you're like, oh,
Still don't
Joke's on
understand.
you.
yeah, just on me. But
I mean, they talk
also
about how nothing
cool.
matters the entire movie.
Well,
And
and
Yeah,
that's
but,
true. Yes.
Seriously,
but it's
right?
like, is the theme that is the theme nothing matters in every single universe, or is it what matters is what's really important to you as an individual, right? Like, what is the theme? And I think it's
I
up to interpretation.
Yeah, from what I got from this movie, like the main message, because Dad's message was different from mine. Mine was nothing really matters except what you choose matters, because the scale of the universe is so big, and the only thing you're perceiving is what you perceive. So if what matters to you is your family, love them, care for them, show what
Absolutely.
matters,
Yeah.
and B, if what matters to you is, you know, doing laundry and taxes, then do that.
Yeah.
But I think the beauty of the movie is somebody being given a chance to right the wrongs that they've decided to do in
that life.
every life.
The redemption arc.
And it's
almost.
just like, and then what I was going to say earlier, Luke, or Couscous, was if you look at Defending Your Life and the storyline that they're giving in that, you know right away what's at stake and what's going to happen in terms of a storytelling. Granted, it's not an action movie. There's no fight scenes and all that stuff, but you understand the premise of what you're about to see. Where this movie never explained to me fully what the premise was that we were about to see and what that willing suspension of disbelief about the circumstances we were going to have to accept. And that's where I say I think the script writing falls short in that regard.
And another way to look at it, Dad, is maybe that you and I are discovering that that's something we need in a movie or something we appreciate in a movie. And it sounds like Luke and Atticus are kind of like, yeah, that's not really the most important element to me. I can fill in the gaps, or I can, I don't need that answer in order to enjoy it in the moment. And I think I learned for myself, I do want that, or I crave that.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So like I have a really good one of my best friends' names is Cole. He lives out here with me. He and I have a lot of similar interests, and one of the things that we do is we go to the art museum a lot. And Cole really likes he's a big Hieronymus Bosch, and he loves like Michelangelo and very technically proficient artists. My favorite artist is Vance Kirkland. He's an abstract artist from Colorado, and he is so talented, but he is, technically maybe not a very proficient artist in regards of like, he couldn't do a portrait of someone, right? His paintings are very abstract, very odd, very weird. And they just like, they connect with me for some reason, and they draw this emotion out of me that I get from other paintings, but it's not nearly as strong. And Cole is like, what is this, like a bunch of splotches, like nuts to this, like go look at this like really technically proficient artist that's sending a very direct and clear message to you about poverty in Rome or whatever, or like the wealth disparity between the Catholic Church and the common people, right? Like he likes to see that DNA and that roadmap, and for me, I really like that, the abstract and like the ability for interpretation inside of abstract art, and so I think that, I think you're right, Eliza. And like the point that I'm trying to make here is that I think that people's cups are refilled in different ways. And maybe it's what is the contents of the cup itself. Maybe your cup is even a different shape or size.
Ketchup and mustard.
Ketchup, mustard, iced tea.
I better not be talking about hot dogs, motherfucker. It's mustard all the way.
I actually hard agree on that one, though.
Yeah,
I put ketchup on my hot dogs when you guys aren't around. And I don't actually put mustard on them all the time.
I get what you're saying, Couscous. I really do, but I think.
No, I think Eliza's based on this.
What's that?
I said I think Eliza's based on this. These two have different needs than these two, and when it comes to movies, and so that's why I think we're getting that's why we're getting differing opinions.
But
it's just part of the fun.
But with
that said, part of the fun,
But with that said, Waking Life I thought was awesome, brilliant.
Right.
There were things about that there was no conclusion in that movie. There was no denouement. There was no storyline. It was just stream of conscience. Let's just go and think about all these things. And I can accept that. That was beautiful, but that was very well done, in my opinion.
I accepted that with Elvis. There was no clear storyline, start or finish. I just enjoyed the ride, right?
Yes,
like, and I think
and
then what we talked about last week was like it was jarring for some of you guys to watch it. I think Atticus was exhausted by it. Like when you watch it. So like talking about refilling our cups, like I felt kind of exhausted by everything everywhere all at once. And what's funny though too is I was trying to convince myself to really like it because I knew for sure that Luke and Atticus were gonna love it, and I didn't want to feel left out, and so I was like trying so hard to
Well,
like
and it's
get it, and I think I was
and-
trying too hard to get it.
well, and I
too.
think
Like,
a lot of this is that like Luke and I are in a very similar demographic of like what our interests are. You know what I mean? Like Luke and
Yeah.
I are like we're both big time psychonauts, and we're really into multiverse theory. We love science, like we love science fiction. It's not to say that the two of you don't, you know, but like this movie checked so many boxes for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah,
and
same.
so
One
I
of you
think
can
that
grow a goatee, the other one can't.
the others
yet.
certainly cannot
yet.
yet, you know.
Till I get him
but,
hooked up.
Yeah.
I thought I had a feeling because of like so just Luke and Eliza, some context here. Dad and I both really love this movie called Enter the Void. I don't know if either of you have
I love
seen
Enter the Void.
It's an amazing movie. It
I-
definitely should be on your watch list if you like if for you, Eliza. And so, but Dad and I have a fundamentally different understanding of that movie. Dad thinks that like so this is not a huge spoiler, Eliza, because it happens very early in the movie and it's like in the trailer of the movie and everything. So the main character, Oscar, is shot in the chest while he's meeting up with a friend of his to drop him off some ecstasy pills that they split a deal on, right? And Oscar threatens that he has a gun in this bathroom and is shot in the chest and dies. And he falls down and like he raises out of his body, and it's the progression based on the interpretation of the Tibetan Book of the Dead about what happens when you die. And I think that that's why Dad and I like this movie so much, because Defending Your Life is debatably my favorite movie, because I love any movie about what happens when you die. And I think Enter the Void and Defending Your Life are the two best movies to interpret what happens when you die. And so I don't think Oscar dies because the beginning of the movie, he smokes DMT while he's on LSD. I've done that.
Okay,
before.
well then obviously he's just having a trip.
Yeah, so that's my interpretation of this, is that he never even leaves his apartment, you know, and he lives this whole death experience and this death about him confronting all of these, like in the movie, Gaspar Noé, he's always got to pepper something in there that's just like, come on, man, you know. And so one of the parts of this movie is that Oscar's in love with his sister. And so, like, yeah, and they were separated at a very young age.
Sister's in love with him.
They're both in love with each other. It doesn't make it any less gross.
Incest warning, yeah.
Incest warning, look out. And so, go ahead, Dad. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give this movie a rewatchability. It's got to be up there in a 9 or 10, in my
For
opinion.
sure.
10,
And the
yeah, definitely a 10.
overall score for the movie, I'm gonna give it a thumbs up.
I am too.
I'm gonna give it about a 45-degree thumbs up.
Love to see
I think it could have been better, but I'm not gonna give it a thumbs down or a sideways.
Not at all. I mean, the quality, my likability of it doesn't actually detract from how good I think it. I thought it was beautiful, and it's a very loved movie. You can tell, like all the detail,
Yes.
just the
Passion
colors.
project.
But
It
Eliza,
is,
the
it
thing you
is.
said about wanting to like it at the beginning, when I saw all the detail in the room and all these little things, and even throughout the movie, when they show the house and the laundromat and all this other stuff, the office, all that detail made me want to like it more.
Yeah,
And
it
it
has
never
heart.
fulfilled that. So anyway,
For me, it felt like I just feel like I got the spark of how I felt.
yeah,
It's full of heart, but it's not, the head part is missing for me. Like I felt it and I really enjoyed what I felt. I didn't understand it. For me, that's a problem, but I don't think that takes away from it being a good movie.
I mean, it obviously exposed an emotional reaction out of, I think, all of us, right?
oh yeah,
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
In my opinion, that's
Absolutely.
what art is for. So
Sure.
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
And like you say all the time, Luke, art is subjective.
Subjective,
Like
truth.
it is subjective.
Truth.
And for me, it was like at the very end when Wayman says, like, this is how the part that made me so emotional is when he was using love and he said, this is how I fight. This is how I fight. And I thought to myself, like, oh my gosh, I feel that, because I'm not. I was taking an Enneagram test earlier, and it's like I always speak up when I see an injustice, or I always do this, or I like being really kind of like assertive with what you think is right or wrong. And like I've always thought that that was a weakness of mine, that I didn't have the courage in a moment to like say, like, hey, this isn't right, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then I also noticed that I put a lot of love out there, and that I try to create harmony. I try to seek understanding, even when it's really exhausting. And it felt really cool to be represented in a movie of like, that is fighting, that
Yeah.
is strong, and
Yep.
that can win. And I've never seen that point be made that way. And that's so when I'm like saying my heart connection lit up with the movie, that's what I mean.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well
So that's
said.
why
get
it's
that
a,
totally.
that's why it's a thumbs up for me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that was beautiful.
we'll definitely have to rewatch it again.
Definitely.
Sweet. Maybe we'll do in a year. We'll do
Yeah,
a
maybe we should. honestly.
rewatch.
Everybody
That
go
could be
smoke
really
DMT
fun.
while you're on LSD. Watch
Let's
the movie
die.
again.
Yeah,
And then-
official recommendation.
Yeah.
I
let's
actually
do
don't
that.
recommend doing that at all.
That sounds,
I-
that's
I
like honestly, it
considered-
sounds like scary.
And
It
I am
sounds
just
terrible.
joking because I am a sober person now.
But
Perfect. Yeah.
I can. I
20
did
days off a week.
Oh, good job, Atticus. That's so awesome.
Let's
I
go.
had considered taking an edible before watching this. I'm so glad that I didn't. If
Oh my
you
God.
are considering, if you are considering getting high to go see this movie either at home or in the theaters, let
Do
the
it.
folks over here at Movie Club say, do not do that.
Movie
That is
Club.
Do it.
terrible.
Do not recommend.
This
Do
is
not
this.
do it.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
if you're-
perfect. So after the rewatchability rating, the number ranking, and the thumbs up, now we can put
Now we can
should
put-
you or should you not get high?
High
the
or
movie.
nah?
No.
You should
High,
not.
high or not?
No, no.
High
We
or
gotta
nah?
be very specific.
Nah.
DMT and LSD at the same time.
Do you smoke
Or not.
Elvis?
No.
Hell, motherfucking yeah! Paddington
Yes.
2.
Oh my God,
double
could you
double dose,
imagine?
baby.
Hippie flipping on that one.
Better be in a hole. You'll be
Keep
flipping.
flipping.
LOL at hippie flipping to Paddington 2. Oh my
Oh,
god.
absolutely. Oh my God, enjoy. Like,
I think I would
please.
hate Paddington too if I was hippie flipping.
I don't know.
I would just want to touch Paddington too much.
Oh.
It just looks
Oh wait,
so-
wait. You guys, real quick.
Cozy.
Okay. Can I give you like it's not a would you rather, but it's just a scenario, and I'd like to hear your answers. Okay.
Yes.
So say for some reason you cannot have human children, but you still want children. Which of the following lovable animals would you like as your own child? Number
Wait,
one.
what is the context of this? Do I have to
Is this like a,
how am I having these kids?
I'm gonna have like a goat boy?
You're adopting. You're adopting.
Okay.
Okay, I was about to say.
You don't have to give birth, and neither your partner wouldn't have to give birth.
Go.
You're adopting this animal into your home, okay? And they're gonna
Okay.
live with you, and you need to raise them and provide for them, and they're part of your family forever, okay?
And
They
it's
have
just an
consciousness?
animal. It's not
Well,
like
yeah.
a...
Let me tell you
Oh,
who
sorry,
your options
sorry.
are. That will answer all the
Quiet down,
questions.
everybody. Settle down,
Okay.
everyone.
Number 1, Stuart Little. Number 2, Paddington. Number 3, Remy from Ratatouille. Number 4, Donkey from Shrek.
Okay,
Oh,
hands
fuck.
down, this is not even a contest. Remy.
Yeah.
What? Why?
Why can't you
What?
do Babe? I'd pick
Oh my
Babe.
God,
Babe,
babe.
I'd pick
Eat 'em.
Babe.
I would pick Babe too.
I'll
So,
wrap
Remy,
you.
Remy is the whole package, right?
He is.
Humble, driven, has a great job, like ladies,
good cook.
single, and you know, so
Fucking
also
Babe can hurt.
Rakakuni? Can I choose Rakakuni instead?
Rakakuni.
Oh my God! Thank you for bringing that up, Luke, because
Yes.
that was my favorite part. That
Yeah, it
was
was
my
pretty
favorite
funny.
part of the movie, and I totally forgot about it
Yeah, it was
until
pretty
you just
funny
said that.
too.
Oh my God! When he's so upset, like when the other Benihana chef, or like when he is so upset that he lost, he's like, I was supposed to take care of him. It's all my fault. Like it was. Oh my God, that was freaking hilarious. That
have
really
you
tickled
guys
me.
do you guys know about the movie Lamb?
Mm,
Yeah,
No.
no.
Okay,
that seemed weird.
spoiler alert. It's kind of this scenario, but it's like a lamb baby,
Child.
like a
Like lamb
lamb
chop?
child.
Does it talk?
A lamb
No.
chop?
But it's like a lamb head on a baby's body,
I
and
hate
these
that.
people
I
like
hate that.
find it, and they're just like, "We're gonna raise it, of course. Why?
No.
How could you not? You know."
It's an
All right.
8.4.
Spoiler alert: it sucks.
I bet it's a. Anyways,
All right,
Luke
folks.
and Atticus, did you do your official ratings?
I
'Cause
did.
think
I
we
did a
talked
double
over you.
thumbs up.
Okay.
I'm two
Thumbs
I,
up.
it's unfortunate.
If I
the
had more
lowest score-
thumbs,
7 thumbs up.
You'd add another
I-
thumb.
I'd
If
add
Here,
I-
Luke, I got you, buddy.
On the number rating, I'd give it a 6.5.
That's pretty low.
I give it a
I-
solid 9 on the dot.
I'll
It's
give
good.
it 7.5 out of 10 hot dog fingers.
Yeah, I'm with.
You know
I'm
what?
With, I'm
That's
with
a-
Luke. 9
That's a
out of
good
10
little
hot dog fingers.
Eliza. We should start doing that.
I
On-
stole it from. I was inspired by the Stranger Things podcast
Oh, nice.
with Addie and Daryl. In every episode,
You got it. Let's
They-
start doing that.
they
I like
they
that.
picked something in the movie, and so it was like, and yeah, let's.
I
do
give
that
it
'cause
6.5
it's really
googly eyes.
fun. 6.5 googly eyes. Love it.
All right. So for next week or next time, I'm picking a
Yeah.
movie that we're gonna go way off in another direction.
All right.
You guys know
A Bug's
who,
Life.
Oh,
Boogie Nights.
David
Boogie
Lynch.
Nights.
You guys know
Yeah,
who
we
David
know
Lynch
David
is?
Lynch. Yeah, we
Right.
know
Yeah.
David Lynch.
did we talk about him with Olivia last week?
Yes.
This is one of his lesser known movies. And it's called The Straight Story. Have you ever heard it? Or heard of it?
Straight
No.
Story.
Okay, gotta
Is this different? Never mind.
hold on. Let me get it going. Stop, pause.
I feel like Eliza knew what I was going to say.
What? Oh my god, you guys are disgusting.
What?
Get your mind out of the gutter, Dad.
Yeah.
Come
Is
on.
this different
Mine,
from
my
Curse
mind out of the
Story?
gutter?
Yeah, I don't know what you're thinking, pal, but I doubt it's good.
Straight Story. Okay, here we go.
1999.
God damn it.
I wasn't even alive back then.
Full screen. Full screen.
This morning you fall and you can't get off the floor. That's your hips, Alvin. You're going to have to use a walker now to get around.
No walker. I love a lightning storm.
Me too, Dad. Uncle Al, I had a stroke.
Rose, darling, I'm going to go back on the road. And I've got to make this trip on my own. I've got to go see Lyle. I know you understand.
Alvin, you're gonna get blown off the road. That's what I'm afraid.
Mount Zion, Wisconsin. Why didn't you just take your car?
I don't have a driver's license.
That's 60 more miles of hills. That's across the Mississippi.
I'm having a little engine trouble.
You know, I'd be happy to drive you the rest of the way to Mount Zion.
I still want to finish this the way I started. And this trip is a hard swallow for my pride. I just hope I'm not too late. You've got two brothers that haven't spoken in 10 years. I want to make peace. I want to sit with him, look up at the stars, like we used to do so long ago. Brothers and brother.
Cool.
It looks good.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
good.
I'm
That
also
does
ready
look
to
good.
cry.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Perfect.
I
Like some-
felt it. I was like,
Some
oh
eye
god.
tray now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so
back.
all right. So everybody, we're gonna do the straight story. What time are we gonna do? Like the regular time of?
Well, we can talk
Is
about
it-
that. We can talk about
Is
that.
it?
later.
Oh, maybe
1,
we
2,
could
3?
we could end.
Oh,
the-
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks
Thanks
for yeah,
for
thanks for
listening,
coming by.
everyone.
Stay safe out there.
If you want to know our scheduling, we could do a post. You can meet us on Patreon. You can pay
Yeah, follow us on
$5 to hear how we
Patreon.
schedule things. Just kidding.
That's even better. And
all of our
also
texts.
on Patreon,
Dad,
Dad is
your mic's
speaking
not working.
off mute.
Also, for the first time, if you watched, please like and subscribe.
Dang.
That way you get automatic notifications of our upcoming
And
broadcasts.
It
Hit that bell.
genuinely
Hit that
helps.
bell icon so you get
There you
notified
go.
every time we drop a
Ding,
video.
ding.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See you next week.
Plug.